This is a small pride. Just 2 adult lionesses, sisters, and their 4 cubs. The little white cubs have a fighting spirit. They are eager to take on their bigger cousins. The males are stronger, but these younger females are feisty little lions.
What's up guys, Ash here, and we're learning about some white lions today. Of course, today's spotlight is focusing on Alisa and her white knight. Let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so Alisa's white knight excels in melee combat. Even her passive is a flat 20% damage increase and a flat 20% damage taken decrease. But it's important to note that this only affects adjacent combat. And so a lot of her mastery sets, just for example, Master of Close Combat, it will only be taking into effect generally when you're at melee distance. So it's very important and key to remember about this class in particular. Now, one of the best things about White Knight is it does have heavy damage potential. It carries the subclass of Swordsman, so it allows Alisa to tack on Sword Manual for really high critical hit damage, and it allows her to do, you know, what you're seeing here in the current video. The third thing that makes this class really amazing is a flexible toolkit. Now, obviously, Alisa can be a lone wolf flanker, or she can serve as a frontline tank for your party, which is really cool. Her incredibly high block rate allows her to really get up close and personal. You can see in the background here there's a sniper hitting her, but she's blocking pretty much every shot. And in the current moment, she's in press the attack stance, but because Alisa is so flexible, later on I'll be switching to defensive stance. So right here I'm actually making my way to the sniper, kind of like those Mario Kart power-ups. So right here I'm finally going to get vision of the sniper. You see him up there. And because of her really flexible toolkit, she'll be able to hop on there using wood chop. From there, there's actually more snipers on the other tower, but she can't reach it at the moment, so I'm going to switch her to all-out defense stance, which is going to raise her block and damage taken, or reduce damage taken by 20%. So let's go through some of Alisa's White Knight's cons. For starters, she has very high delay in her abilities. You know, if you're like a big fan of woodchop like I am, 34 cast delay is pretty high. You know, cross slash 26, sliding 17, straight thrust 28, you know, releasing double cross slash 68. If you play Alisa and you love when she gets up, but it feels like she's kind of lagging behind the party, it's probably because you're using some of these abilities a little too much, and it's increasing her AT to not good numbers, that's for sure. Also, she uses a lot of vigor. You know, cross slash uses 20, wood chop 28, straight thrust 32. And so if you're chaining these back to back, not only are you really upping her AT delay, but her amount of vigor, you know, mine's only running, what is this, 110 vigor for the base right here, and that burns really fast. I'd say third, Alisa suffers from very low speed. I know mine is showing 88 at the moment, but that's because she's running 3-piece golden set. So she's getting 10 speed from the uniform, 15 speed from the bracers, and then 10 speed for the 3-set bonus, for a total of 35 speed. So if you were to take off the golden 3-piece golden set, she'd be sitting at a pretty 53. and that is, by my team, she would never give up. So, you know, this low speed is definitely very detrimental to her. Her two-handed sword as well, also, you know, subtracting 10 speed, and you know, the way that Dandelion, it appears that they made her is that, you know, she's supposed to hit really hard, but she's not supposed to get up that often, and that does make sense. Fourth, she does have a very low health pool for a hybrid fighter tank. You know, I'd like to compare White Knight similar to, let's say, Irene's Martial Artist. But the difference being that Irene's Martial Artist will have, you know, even as a hybrid build, will have like 3,500, you know, almost double her current health pool. So even though she has to be at the front line, she is a melee fighter, she has a very low health pool to work with. And then finally, she has issues with ranged combat. Like I said before, one of her pros is the White Knight passive and, you know, adjacent combat. You know, Master of Close Combat here. Expected risk always blocks an enemy's melee responsive attack. Neutralize counters always prevents an enemy melee counterattack. Weapon return. If damage taken from an adjacent foe, you know, so even though she excels in close combat, she definitely has issues with ranged combat. And finally, we have the Mastery board. So this build is called the White Lion build. Feel free to pause, take a moment to look, critique, see what you would change, see what you would keep. But the goal of this board is to shore up all of her weaknesses and then play on her strengths. So for her core offense, we're going to be taking Knight of Sword, one strike, one head, and one shot, one kill. And of course, one shot, one kill is going to allow her to multi-chain. One strike, one head is going to act as her catharsis while also building into her hit, crit, and crit damage. And the Knight of Sword is actually going to double up on that. Knight of Sword is actually really nice. It works well with Swordmaster, works well with Sword Manual. So one strike and one head and Knight of Sword kind of work together. Also Melee Weapon Expert, which is going to reduce your cast delay times. And then Veteran Duelist, which is just going to give you basically all your flat stats are just going to skyrocket from this. And then for her core defense, we're going to be taking Defensive Choice. This is going to make it so that her block rate is so high that you won't ever have to worry about it. Even from some of the game's highest block shred characters like Athad or Wei who have Breakthrough, it won't even matter. She'll still be able to block even with you know, fighting those kinds of enemies. And then finally, the core support is going to be Combat Stance and Master of Close Combat. And so playing off of Defensive Choice, Master of Close Combat is going to give you acceleration if you dodge or block any attacks, which will be very often. So she'll have pretty much permanent acceleration from turn 1. And then Adept Combat Stance, this is going to allow her to transform regular combat stance from 10 hit, 5 damage, or reduced damage taken and block by 10% into Press Attack Stance and All Out Defense Stance, which will be hit chance 20, attack damage 10, and then reduced damage 20 and block chance by 20. So let's bring up those White Knight cons that I mentioned earlier and see if we can shore them up with this build. So the high delay from Knight of Sword, her core offense, you remember that double cross slash was in the high 60s, now it's at 28. You know, straight thrust was in the 20s, now it's at 12. Cross slash was in, you know, high 20s or 30s, and now it's at 11. So Knight of Sword is going to take care of her high delay. For number 2, her high vigor. So she's actually going to get Sweet Home Battlefield, and that works into Adept Combat Stance as well as Marching Master. And so anytime she puts out an enemy out of action, she'll get recovery of 10 vigor, which is great because Her regular basic quick shaving attack is 10 vigor. So you're pretty much negating that portion of the vigor cost. For number 3, for low speed, even though I don't consider this core, you can change this up. I chose Marching Master. The set itself is going to give you 10 speed, 1 move, but Marching Expert is also going to give you a move, and then for every 200 health, it's going to increase your speed. So instead of the 88 or so that she had before, she's now running at 120, which my team's average speed is about 110, 115, give or take. So she's even faster than you know, what my normal team runs at. And then for number 4, actually is also pulling from Marching Master as well. So that low health pool, she's going to get body training from, and put her at about 2600, give or take. And so I don't consider this, you know, like a fix, but this is definitely a good band-aid. I expect, you know, at least hybrid fighters to have about 3000. You know, tanks should be on the upper end of 3000. But this is definitely good when paired with her incredibly high block chance. She'll have 100% block pretty much the whole time. So this 2600 goes a long way. And then finally, issues with ranged combat, again, is going to be solved by defensive choice. So I wanted to highlight the real world effect of defensive choice. You see Alisa gets her block off there. She's the farthest up in the party at this point. The only person that's even remotely near her is Kylie. You can see on the left side there, haven't pushed far enough up yet. And so she's definitely at the front here, make no mistake. And, you know, despite defensive choice, she still has offense to take down Dalsu right there. And right here, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, should I get into range of Wei? No, let's try and, you know, take out a few more units before we can do boss. And so, you know that the Marauders do have a pretty good block chance usually. That one's at 18%, but I decide to switch into all-out defense in the off chance that he does block, and then she's basically left open to fight everything. Now, thankfully, when she hits, it goes through the block, she gets the kill, so we can move on to Wei. And since Wei has impulse fields, I'm going to go ahead and use cross slash. But very important to know that you know, Wei does forestallment. Wei has breakthrough, so she's having her block shredded in half right now. Still blocks, goes in, gets both hits in. Perfect. So you guys actually get a real world statistic here. You know, on paper, Alisa has maybe 80% block, and that's not counting all-out defense, which is putting her at 100. But because of defensive choice, that's actually Sentinel, which is 5% block for every enemy she sees, as well as Tactical Sense, which is a huge bonus to block if she's outnumbered, is giving her that 166.5% block that you see right over here. So even if you have breakthrough, it's going to put her at what, 83% block. It's just total insanity, and it gives her that survivability that I believe White Knight really needs. So on some final notes here for the build, I did want to say, if you're having issues with units that are blocking, I would drop Weapon Break and put in Breakthrough. Won't break the build or anything, she'll still be amazing. And it works out very well. 2, Mutant is pretty insane, and I highly recommend it for the most part on most melee builds. Unfortunately, they take a lot of damage, they take a lot of debuffs, bleeding, and fire and stuff. So we're going back to that map that we just fought Wei on, and look in the bottom left at how many buffs she currently has running. I mean, this is, you know, it's a lot that's going on. And so she takes all these weaknesses, creates them as strength, and goes over and kind of one-shots freezing crosshair. But I highly recommend Mutant. And then if you guys are wondering what is Charisma doing on here, that's actually kind of the point of the build. So Charisma is really good. It gives all allies in a 4-tile radius hit, crit, block, dodge. Not a lot, but enough. It is pretty good on its own right. However, I saved personal masteries for last on purpose. So while she's under excitement for White Lion, she'll get her action time decreased. And so this is going to keep Alisa moving forward so well. And I highly recommend that you pair Charisma with White Lion. Good second option is definitely Death Blow. This will give you kind of like a Roar of Victory kind of feel. You know, each kill you'll be able to go straight into another. I think I have I have some footage here. So right here, Alisa is currently in overcharge, and she goes on to fight Zhao Zai, who has crazy like 150% block. Double cross slash is going to shred all defenses though, and so she knocks him out in one. It counts as one shot, one kill. And then, you know, she's going to go on and just continue killing. Here's what's interesting though. She just used double cross slash, right? And, you know, she's piercing through and she's continuing to kill. And after all this, you know, let's say 2 mobs that she fought, she's back into overcharge. So there's definitely a spot for Death Blow in this build. All right, guys, that wraps up this video. I had a ton of fun. I think that White Knight is a very underutilized class and kind of end game builds right now. And I don't know, it was just a blast to put all this stuff together. But as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitch. And until next time.